This is a spectacular place.
Olive saw a man with a huge curly moustache. He wore a red and black tunic with a crown on the front.
I'm Olive. Where am I, please?
I'm Beefy the Beefeater. You're on a tour of the Tower of London.
He answered.
I'm in London.
Olive found a camera hanging around her neck and snapped a few pictures.
And if you look to your right, you'll see the ravens. Tradition says they must never leave the tower, or the kingdom will fall. And not a single one has. Not on my watch, anyhow.
Hello. What's your name?
Olive asked.
Roberta,
And why do you look so sad, Roberta?
because I really want to explore London, like those tourists over there. I want to see all the sights, Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, and especially Trafalgar Square.
But of course you can't leave the tower.
Said Olive.
No, and Beefy is always watching and counting us.
So you need to somehow get away without Beefy realising.
Olive looked around and saw an ice cream van nearby. She also saw a lady tourist wearing a long black raincoat.
An ice cream van. A black raincoat. I think I may have an idea. Please, can I borrow your raincoat?
Olive asked the lady, who nodded. Then she bought an ice cream cone from the ice cream van. Olive put on the black raincoat and stuck the cone onto her own beak, using the ice cream to make it stick. She looked just like a raven. Well, almost.
I'll pretend to be you, Roberta, while you go to see the sights of London.
Wow, great idea.
When Beefy was looking the other way, Roberta made a dash through the tower gates. Olive tried to blend in with the other ravens, but she was so tall she really stuck out. What was worse, the ice cream cone was melting, dripping into a growing puddle at her feet. Beefy walked over and began counting the ravens.
1, 2, 3, 4.
When he got to Olive, he stopped and raised an eyebrow. Said Olive. It was a pretty good impression of a raven. Beefy shrugged and continued to count.
5, 6 ravens. Excellent.
But now, Olive's ice cream had melted so much, the cone fell off her beak.
Hang on a raven counting minute. You're not a raven. You're an ostrich. I'd better count again.
Oh no, he's going to realise there's one raven missing.
Beefy began to count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5?
But just in the nick of time, Roberta came swooping in over the Tower of London's walls. She landed just behind Beefy. Said Roberta loudly. Beefy spun round.
Aha! There's number 6, all safe and sound. What was I thinking? It's not like these ravens ever leave the tower. Not on my watch, anyway.
Beefy walked off to get his dinner.
No, us ravens never leave the tower.
Chuckled Roberta. This made Olive and the other ravens laugh too. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I've been a raven in the Tower of London.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive found herself in a room with shelves and worktops piled high with mounds of dust. She was wearing an apron decorated with pictures of violins, cellos and bassoons.
Okay, this place could do with a spot of dusting.
Just then, 2 smiling woodworms popped their head out of a dust pile.
Oh, hello.
Said Olive. The woodworms vanished before popping up from another dust pile.
My, you're both quick on your feet. I mean, tummies.
Before either worm had a chance to reply, whoosh! A large net fell over them, sending clouds of dust up into the air. The dust made Olive cough.
Did I get them? Yeah? No? Missed them again.
As the dust cleared, she found herself face to face with a tall wolf wearing an apron just like hers.
Hello, I am Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, instrument maker to the king. This is my workshop.
I'm Olive. Nice to meet you, Wolfgang. But, I don't see any instruments.
This was a cello. This was a violin. And this was a bassoon to be played at the king's birthday concert tonight.
Oh, I don't think you'll get much sound out of those instruments.
This I know. It's those woodworm. As soon as I make any instrument from wood, they eat it. See? If I don't make the bassoon for the king's birthday concert tonight, he will be very upset. You must help me, Olive.
Olive thought hard.
Well, if the woodworm only like to eat wood, maybe you could make a bassoon out of something else.
But what?
Olive looked around at things in the workshop.
A vacuum cleaner, a bicycle pump. I think I may have an idea.
With Wolfgang's help, Olive used the vacuum cleaner's bendy pipe to form the body of the bassoon. Then they used the top of the bicycle pump as its mouthpiece.
Finished!
Now to see how it sounds, yeah?
Wolfgang placed his lips to the bicycle pump mouthpiece and blow.
Is that how a bassoon is supposed to sound, Wolfgang?
Wolfgang stopped playing and shook his head.
No, that sounded terrible.
Just then, Olive remembered how the woodworm had reacted to the sound.
Those greedy woodworm didn't like the noise the bassoon made either. Wolfgang, you start to make your new wooden bassoon for the king's birthday concert. I think I know how I can keep those woodworm away.
Olive blew into the bassoon as she marched up and down. The woodworm couldn't stand the noise, and soon they wiggled away. And at last, Wolfgang finished making what would be his finest wooden bassoon.
Ah, perfect. Thank you, Olive. Without your help, the concert would have been a disaster. Would you like to come as my guest?
I think I've heard enough bassoons for one day, thank you.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay. Actually, I helped make a bassoon for a king.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a park surrounded by tall buildings with lots of windows. Nearby, there were some kids riding about on BMX bikes.
Oh, these buildings look very tall.
She was wearing a blue hooded tracksuit and shiny silver trainers.
Yo, nice hoodie.
Said a voice. Olive turned around and saw two boys. They wore blue tracksuits and silver trainers, like hers.
Yo! Hello, I'm Olive.
Yo, Olive, I'm Ash. This is Sam.
We are two of the super fast feet crew, the flyest dance crew around.
Oh, what sort of dancing do you do?
Street dancing, and we're competing in a big competition today.
Problem is, our flipper Darren is stuck in a traffic jam. Without him, we can't do our routine, so if he doesn't make it in time, we can't enter.
What does a flipper do?
We'll show you.
Sam pulled out his phone and hit a button to play a video. It was the super fast feet crew performing a routine.
That's Darren in the middle. He's about to flip. Hey, oh, yeah. Hey!
Yo, Olive, you're wearing a hoodie and trainers just like ours. Maybe you could be our flipper for the competition.
Well, I'd be happy to try, but flipping looks really difficult.
It's not easy. You need to be able to jump really high.
Olive looked around and noticed that the kids with their BMX bikes were doing some impressive tricks and jumps. But one boy had a puncture and was pumping up his tyre.
A bicycle pump. Trainers? I think I may have an idea.
Olive walked over to talk to the boy.
Excuse me, can I borrow your bike pump, please?
Yeah, sure.
Olive stuck the end of the bicycle pump into the sole of her silver trainer and began to pump. The shoe started to inflate. She did the same to the other one until she had created a pair of super bouncy super trainers.
Ooh, okay. I'm very tall.
Try a flip.
Suggested Ash. Olive started to bounce higher and higher, and then she did a double backflip.
That was tight.
It certainly was.
Let's go, Olive. The competition starts soon.
Darren was still stuck in traffic, so Olive performed with the super fast feet crew. The routine was going really well, and Olive did some amazing flips, bouncing on her super trainers. Soon, it was time for the big finish, a quadruple backflip from Olive. She bounced higher and higher, and then straight into the flip. But Olive had flipped too high. She lost control and couldn't stop flipping. Just then, Darren arrived. He rushed into the arena and saw Olive somersaulting through space. Darren ran over, did a massive forward flip and caught Olive mid-air. They both landed back on the ground between Ash and Sam, and the audience went wild.
Yo, Olive, that was amazing.
Olive's final flip was so spectacular, it helped the super fast feet crew to win first prize.
Yo, thanks for standing in for me, Olive.
Said Darren.
Yo, it was no problem.
Said Olive.
I was one super flying ostrich.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been dancing and flipping with a street dance crew.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing next to a bubbling waterfall. She was wearing heavy chainmail and a knight's helmet.
Ooh.
Just then, Olive heard a loud noise.
Oh, that sounds painful.
Out of nowhere leapt a huge dragon wearing an orange headband. He swished his enormous tail this way and that. It was all very impressive.
Welcome.
I'm Olive. Who are you?
I am Claude Van Doom, student of Dragon Fu.
What's dragon flu?
I will show you.
With this, Claude showed Olive some of his best dragon fu moves.
Very good flu, Claude.
I hope my examiner agrees. I am taking the final part of my Dragon Fu exam today. If I pass, my dream to become a Dragon Fu master will come true.
What do you have to do?
I will show you.
With this, Claude took a deep breath and blew as hard as he could towards a nearby tree. Flames shot from his mouth and set the tree on fire in an instant. Whoosh!
The exam subject is an impressive display of fire breathing.
I think you should put that fire out, Claude.
Olive saw the bubbling waterfall behind her.
Quick, Claude, use the water to put out the fire.
Claude plunged his head into the bubbling water, quickly gulping it down before blowing the lot onto the flaming tree.
Well done, Claude. You put the fire out.
But Claude didn't look very happy. Claude tried to breathe fire, but bubbles poured out from his mouth instead.
Oh, this is a disaster. How will I pass my exam in fire breathing if I am breathing bubbles?
Olive thought. She looked down at her chainmail and plucked one of the wires free.
A wire? Bubbles? I think I may have an idea.
Olive started to pull and twist the wires into different shapes, just as Claude's examiner arrived to start the test.
So, Mr. Van Doom, I hope you're ready to impress me with your fire breathing.
Claude looked at Olive and gulped.
Yes, he is, Mr. Examiner.
I'll be the judge of that, thank you.
The examiner watched as Claude took a deep breath and started to blow bubbles from his mouth instead of fire.
Oh, dear.
Said the examiner, unimpressed.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
But then the bubbles squeezed through the wire shapes Olive had made and formed a huge spider, a knight, even an elephant.
Well, I need something more impressive than that.
Claude took a deep breath and blew a massive bubble right at the examiner. It surrounded him, and before he knew it, he was floating up in the air inside the bubble.
Oh, I'm floating. Oh, Claude, your display of bubble breathing is more impressive than any fire breathing. Here's your certificate.
Oh, Claude, you passed.
Thank you, Olive, for all your help. With a little practice, you too could master dragon fall.
Really?
With this, Olive Dragon Fu chopped a tree, sending lots of fruit falling down on top of her.
Ouch! No, I think I'll stick to looking at trees, not dragon fooing them.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I've been blowing bubbles with a dragon.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing on a steep slope covered in crunchy white snow. It was very cold. She was wearing a thick, puffy coat and a bobble hat.
I'm glad I've got these warm clothes.
Oh, yes, you can say that again.
Said a voice. Olive turned to see a little man with a huge bushy beard. He was only wearing a vest and pants. He was shivering quite a lot.
I'm Olive. Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Sir Edmund Hillertop, a famous mountaineer. I climb all the tallest mountains.
Oh, so is this a tall mountain?
Tall! Olive, old bean, this is Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world, and I'm climbing to the summit.
But, Sir Edmund, what's happened to all your clothes? Aren't you cold?
Oh, there was this huge gust of wind. It blew away all my warm clothes, along with my map, compass, and packed lunch. So now I'm rather chilly, hungry, and lost.
Well, I'm not sure how to help. I'm no mountaineer.
Suddenly, there was an enormous growl. Out from behind a rock jumped a huge, fairy, man-shaped thing. It was growling, and it didn't sound at all happy to see them.
Oh, that's the infamous Yeti! Run for it before he eats us for his dinner! Wait! He's got my map, compass, and packed lunch! Oi! Give those back!
Oh, I think that's the last we'll see of those. Oh dear. I think he's still hungry. Maybe he's going to eat us next.
She had to think fast.
Sir Edmund, do you have any food at all?
Well, I do have my emergency cupcake. Always keep one tucked away.
A cupcake? A hungry Yeti? I think I may have an idea.
Olive took the cupcake from Sir Edmund and held it out to the Yeti. The Yeti grabbed the cupcake and gobbled it down. Yum, said the Yeti. He seemed very happy.
Oh, I think he wants your poles too, Edmund.
Said Olive. Edmund handed them over. The Yeti used them as needles to knit a long scarf out of his own fur. He gave it to Edmund. Edmund wrapped the scarf around himself.
Well, thanks very much. This Yeti scarf really is very warm.
I think he wants to lead us to the summit of Everest.
Said Olive. So Olive and Sir Edmund followed the Yeti all the way to the summit.
We've conquered Everest!
Beam, Sir Edmund.
And you're the first ever ostrich to climb it. Congratulations, Olive.
That's lovely. But how do we get down again?
Suddenly, the Yeti gave Olive and Sir Edmund a push. They went sliding all the way down Mount Everest on their bottoms, and the Yeti slid down behind. Cried Olive as she slid. At the bottom, they ended up in a snowdrift.
Oh, that was fun.
Thanks so much for all your help, Olive.
I think you've got yourself a new mountain climbing best friend forever.
Chuckled Olive. They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Cake? Actually, I climbed Mount Everest and met a Yeti.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in the middle of a huge circus ring. She was wearing big shoes, a silly wig, and a large red nose. just like the one worn by a clown in a poster she could see nearby.
Oh, I'm at the circus.
Suddenly, someone shouted.
Oh, look out!
A cheeky little monkey wearing a red hat swung past, snatching her red clown's nose from her beak.
Hey, come back!
You'll never catch him. He stole my red nose too.
Said a very sad-looking seal, dressed in a clown costume.
I've been trying to get him a red nose back all day, but he's just too quick.
Oh, I'm Olive, and you were on that poster.
I am the great Grimaldi, the funniest clown in town. Or at least I was. I don't feel very funny now, not without my red nose.
Olive was sad to see Grimaldi so downhearted.
I'll get your red nose back for you. Then you can be the funniest clown in town again.
It's not possible. That cheeky monkey is always out of reach.
Olive looked up at the monkey sitting on a trapeze, high up in the roof of the circus tent. He was wearing a red nose. Then she saw the circus cannon nearby.
A cheeky monkey too high to reach. A circus cannon? I think I may have an idea.
You can get my red nose back?
Grimaldi asked.
Yes, wish me luck.
Suddenly, the cannon went boom,
Wow!
shooting Olive up into the air like a rocket.
Big! Red nose, here I come.
Olive was ready to snatch the red nose back, but as she flew over, the monkey ducked, sending Olive shooting over his head and bouncing off the sides of the circus tent. Luckily for Olive, Grimaldi swung into view on another trapeze and caught hold of her just in time, much to the now watching audience's delight.
Oh, thanks, Grimaldi.
Olive looked down and saw the red-nosed monkey balanced on a high wire below them.
Okay, one red nose coming up.
Olive let go and dropped down onto the high wire, catapulting the surprised monkey back up towards Grimaldi, who caught him by his feet.
Gotcha!
Cried Grimaldi. Suddenly, the monkey threw the red nose up towards Grimaldi.
Hey, catch!
Called the monkey. Grimaldi caught the red nose, but he had to let go of the monkey's feet, and the monkey dropped down onto the high wire, sending Olive catapulting.
I have it!
Olive looked down.
But who has us?
They tumbled towards the circus ring below. Luckily, they landed in a safety net.
Who are they laughing at?
They're laughing at you, Grimaldi. You don't need a red nose to be funny. You're Grimaldi, the funniest clown in town.
You're right.
Just then, Olive heard something falling from above. She looked up and plonk! The monkey had dropped her red nose, and it landed right back on Olive's beak.
Bravo, Olive. You make a great clown.
Well, I do like a bit of clowning around.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Pecking? Actually, I've been clowning around in the circus.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in a little village. The buildings were made entirely out of logs, and they nestled between tall green trees and snow-topped mountains. She was wearing a lovely woolly scarf.
Pecking, what a beautiful place.
Just then, Olive heard a strange gurgling sound coming from behind one of the log cabins. So she went to investigate. She found a little girl sobbing into her hanky in a most peculiar way. Olive had never heard anything like it.
My name's Olive. Are you okay?
Oh, I didn't see you there. My name's Heidi High. My family own the holiday camp here, and today we're holding our famous Swiss family yodeling concert to mark the first day of the ski season.
Oh, Pecking, how exciting.
Oh, you little don't understand. There isn't any snow. Tradition says if we don't have any snow on the first day of the ski season, we won't have any snow at all, and no skiers will come to visit.
In the distance, Olive could see the beautiful snow-capped mountains, but in the village there was only the tiniest dusting of snow on the rooftops. She was about to start thinking of a way to help when she heard an announcement boom out over the loudspeakers.
Heidi, time for our last yodeling rehearsal.
That's my mum. I'd better go and practice.
Olive followed Heidi back to her family to find out what yodeling was. Then the hills erupted with sound as Heidi's family all burst into a strange song. Olive stood and listened. It was then she noticed that the dusting of snow on the rooftops had begun to quiver and shake. As Heidi and her mother hit a high note, the snow rolled off the roof and landed on the ground. Olive grinned.
Yodelers? Loudspeakers in a snow-capped mountain? I think I may have an idea. Heidi, help me collect all the loudspeakers. We're going to create a super speaker.
Olive placed them in a long line, pointing towards the snowiest peak.
Now all you need to do is yodel into here, and I'm sure your voices will shake the snow down from the mountains in no time.
Yodeloo, do you really think that'll work?
Asked Heidi.
There's only one way to find out.
And with that, they burst into song. In the distance, the snow on the mountain tops began to quiver. It looked like it was dancing as it gently started to roll down the slopes towards the village. But even though they yodeled with all their might, the snow stopped short.
Yodeloo will have to join in, Olive. We're just not loud enough.
Said Olive as she cleared her throat and prepared to sing. They yodeled and yodeled, and the gathering crowds watched with delight as the snow tripped and danced its way gently into the village, covering the entire place with a thick blanket of snow.
Oh, Olive, there's enough snow here to ski and sledge and build snowmen until springtime. Thank you.
It was no problem.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been yodeling in the Swiss Alps.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing in the middle of a huge cornfield and had a piece of straw in her beak. Said Olive, spitting it out.
Hey, I must be in the country.
Said a voice. Olive turned around to see a man made completely out of straw.
Hello there, I'm Scully the Scarecrow.
Hello, I'm Olive. What are you doing all alone in the middle of this cornfield?
I'm here to scare off all the birds so they don't eat the corn.
Said Scully sadly.
Why are you so sad about it? Looks to me like you're doing an excellent job.
Problem is, I love to spot birds and write them down in my notebook here. But because I'm a scarecrow, I scare them all away so I never spot any.
But I'm a bird. I'm an ostrich, and I don't think you're scary, Scully.
Oh, so you are. Well, I've not spotted an ostrich before. I'd love to spot some other birds too. If I could spot 10 more today, I'd be such a happy scarecrow.
The birds are scared off when they see you, Scully. So we need to hide you from the birds in some way.
Olive looked around her. There were lots of pieces of corn lying on the ground.
Lots of corn? A scarecrow to hide? I think I may have an idea.
Olive gathered up all the corn and started sticking it all over Scully and also all over her own feathers until they were both completely covered in corn.
How's this going to help me spot birds?
Scully asked.
Watch and see.
Olive and Scully walked across the cornfield until they reached a large oak tree. A little blue bird flew down and landed on one of the branches.
Oh, our blue tit!
Exclaimed Scully, writing it down in his notebook.
One bird spotted.
Said Olive.
You see, it's working. The blue tit wasn't scared of you.
This is great.
Olive and Scully walked past a hedge at the side of the field. Two birds flew down and landed on the hedge.
That's a robin and that's a blackbird.
Said Scully, writing them down too.
2 and 3 birds spotted.
As they walked down the path, they reached a farmer's tractor sitting in the field. 3 birds flew down and landed on the tractor.
Chaffinch, sparrow, pigeon.
Cried Scully as he wrote.
4, 5, 6 birds spotted.
Then they walked down past the barn, and as they did, 4 more birds landed on the barn's roof right above them.
Crow, jackdaw, dove, magpie.
Said Scully, scribbling in his notebook.
7, 8, 9, 10 birds spotted.
Cried Olive.
Oh, thanks, Olive. With this corn disguise, I've managed to spot 10 birds today.
Olive and Scully walked back into the middle of the cornfield. But something very odd was happening. All the birds Scully had spotted were flying around above them. Then they all landed on Olive and Scully and began to eat the corn.
No, they're eating our disguises.
Soon the hungry birds had eaten away all the corn.
I suppose you're going to get scared and fly away now.
But the birds didn't move.
We're not scared of you anymore. You've given us all this nice corn to eat, so we know you're friendly.
Chirped the little robin.
Oh, now I can spot birds all day, every day.
Maybe you should call yourself Scully, but not Scarecrow.
Chuckled Olive. They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been helping a scarecrow spot birds.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure.
Olive the Ostrich!
Olive found herself in a village street with lots of shops.
Oh, just the hat for a rainy day.
Olive spotted a postman sitting on a bench nearby. He looked rather sad.
Hello, Mr. Postman. I'm Olive. Are you okay?
Not really. The 3 parcels I was supposed to deliver today have fallen out through this hole in my post bag, and now they're lost.
If we retrace your steps, maybe we'll find them.
Yes, we could try.
Olive and the postman walked down the village street and saw a baby elephant in its pram, giggling and playing with something. It was a brown parcel.
Ah, that's one of my missing parcels.
Oh, the baby thinks the parcel is its new toy. Maybe it would like to swap the parcel for a tickly feather.
Olive plucked a feather from her wing and tickled the end of the baby's long nose. The baby started to laugh and Olive swapped the parcel for the feather.
He loves it. Okay, where to next?
The mechanic's workshop.
Soon, Olive and the postman were standing outside the mechanic's workshop. A car was sitting high in the air on a lift. And on top of the car roof was another parcel.
Oh dear, the mechanic is on his lunch break. How are we going to reach that parcel?
Olive noticed a wheel hubcap lying on the floor.
I think a spot of frisbee throwing should do the trick.
Olive threw the hubcap towards the parcel. Whiz! Clunk! It knocked the parcel off the car roof, sending it toppling down into the postman's waiting arms.
Oh, good shot, Olive. One more parcel to find.
And I think I know exactly where it is.
In the centre of the village was a fountain, and bouncing around on top of the jet of water was the final parcel.
Oh dear, we're never going to catch it.
Olive spotted a tap nearby. She turned the tap off, and the water stopped gushing from the fountain, sending the parcel dropping down into the postman's arms.
Oh, but Olive, look. The rain has washed all the addresses off the parcels. How will we know who they belong to? They all look the same.
3 similar-looking parcels that all smell different. I think I may have an idea. We can work out where the parcels need to go by smelling them. That way we can guess what's inside.
Great idea, Olive.
Olive smelt the first parcel.
This one smells of flowers.
It must be for the flower shop.
Olive was right. It was a bunch of flowers. Olive smelt the second parcel.
Ah, this smells of oil.
It must be for the mechanic's shop.
Olive was right again. It was a new oil can. Olive smelt the last parcel.
Ooh, that smells of a sheep. Oh, it must be wool for the tailors.
The tailor was very pleased with the postman for delivering his parcel. And to say thank you, he sewed up the hole in the postbag to make sure the postman never lost any parcels again.
Thank you for all your help, Olive.
That's okay. I think I may have a nose for delivering the post.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Olive.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been helping deliver the post.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive was standing next to lots of amazing cars lined up on a racing track. In each car sat a driver, and they were all revving their engines. Lots of excited people were watching from the stands, cheering and waving flags. One of the drivers was standing by the side of the track, looking very sad.
Hello, I'm Olive. Are you okay?
I'm Rhinoplasty. This is the Around the Island Grand Prix race, but I can't start because I've forgotten my special racing safety suit. I'm not allowed to race without it.
Oh dear.
And it's not long until the race starts.
Said Ryan, pointing to some traffic lights above the racetrack.
I need a racing suit ASAP.
Race begins in 1 minute.
All around the racetrack, there were tents and flags and rows of bunting. Some people had just finished putting up the decorations and had left their scissors behind.
A tent? Some scissors? I think I may have an idea. Ryan, why don't we make you a new racing suit using one of those tents?
Great idea, Olive.
Olive grabbed the pair of scissors and started cutting up the tent. She got so carried away, she made herself a racing suit too.
Here we go, Ryan. A suit for you and a suit for me.
Well, let's put them on.
Said Ryan, holding his suit in front of him.
It's not long until the race starts.
Drivers, get ready.
Olive and Ryan put their suits on. But there was a problem. Olive had forgotten to make footholes in her suit and had forgotten to make armholes in Ryan's suit.
I can't race without my arms free.
Cried Ryan.
I know. We can drive the car together. You work the pedals and I'll steer.
You know, that might just work, Olive.
Ryan ran towards the car and Olive hopped along behind. They climbed into the car and fastened their seatbelts just as the traffic light turned from amber to green. All the other cars sped off from the starting line. Ryan and Olive were left behind. Ryan hit the pedals and they zoomed off. Olive and Ryan raced around the track. Olive turned out to be an excellent driver. They were overtaking the other cars and catching up with the leaders. Soon, they were in second place.
If we can just overtake this last car, then we'll win.
Shouted Olive. Ryan gave an extra burst on the pedals, and they were just about to overtake the leading driver when he swerved right in front of them. Olive had to steer the car through into the pits. Everyone jumped out of their way as they sped past all the tents before screeching back onto the racetrack again.
Oh, that crocodile's still in the lead.
Shouted Ryan. Olive and Ryan made one last effort, but it was too late. They came in second, right behind that crocodile.
Oh dear. I was hoping we'd win.
Oh, brilliant driving, Olive. Second place is fantastic.
Ryan lifted Olive high on his shoulders, and the crowd went wild. Olive was awarded a special champion's wreath for Most Brilliant Driver.
I love racing. It gets me all revved up.
Chuckled Olive. They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been driving a racing car with a rhino.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure.